Translator, Reverie Editor, Kurisu Linghan pushed Zhu Xuan away and said, "Your wounds have yet to mend. Go back and rest first." Zhu Xuan had only just spoken words that left her so mortified her whole body burned hot, and she now stood stupefied. If Linghan had seized the chance and pressed her down, then they would have entered the closest of intimacies. She would no longer need to keep any reserve before him. Yet now she could not even open her eyes, and she fled in a fluster. Sigh, a peerless beauty, threw herself into my arms, and I actually didn't take it! Linghan lay on the grass, staring up at a sky with neither stars nor moon. Does something go wrong in my head to think of that savage woman at such a moment? Then Linghan jolted upright, his face twitching. Hiss! Could it be I truly fell for that meddlesome woman? Otherwise, in those circumstances, which man would refuse? I don't have a damned wife. So what does it matter which woman I'm with, right? Whether it's Liu Yutong or Li Shichan, how is it I've never once thought of touching them? It's over. It's over. Already 1,000 years, and only now I suddenly realise I fell for that savage lady. How did it come to this? Other than being prettier than most, stronger than most, possessing martial talent greater than most, and having a physique better than most, she doesn't seem to have any further merits. The key is that she's savage. She subdued my 4 disciples, and from time to time she'd barge into my place and sweep away medicinal pills. She never treated herself as an outsider. I have truly never seen such a rogue of a woman. What? Linghan's expression turned strange. Heavenly Phoenix, Divine Maiden, behaved as though she were the mistress. Could it be? Could it be? I'm such an idiot! He roared toward the heavens. Small Tower manifested and said indifferently to him, "You certainly are an idiot. I only spoke without thinking. Someone incomparably clever like me is 1,000,000 miles away from stupid." Linghan immediately returned to his carefree manner, unwilling to let anyone know what weighed upon his heart. "You can't hide from me. Over the past millennium, I preserved your soul, and the memories of those years were all seen clearly by me." Small Tower remained insipid. Hey! Is it really proper for you to spy on other people's privacy?" Linghan wanted to punch someone. "You think I wanted to look?" Small Tower said coldly. It paused, then continued. "It's clear. Heavenly Phoenix Divine Maiden took an interest in you, but you bonehead didn't realise at all." Since Small Tower already knew, Linghan no longer pretended. He sighed and said, "That savage woman was so overbearing. If she liked me, she should have just said so, not gentle in the slightest." Yet he immediately shook his head. Heavenly Phoenix Divine Maiden, one of the 7 heaven-tier elites of his past life, the beautiful battle goddess, second only to Sword Emperor, a peerless genius. How could she possibly coquettishly curry favour with a man like an ordinary woman would? If it were truly like that, would she still be Heavenly Phoenix Divine Maiden? Your kind of gentleness, I really don't understand. Linghan muttered. Heavenly Phoenix Divine Maiden would run to his place from time to time, grab things left and right, never acting like an outsider at all. This was, in truth, an obvious hint. Unfortunately, back then, he was too proud, and all he wanted was to step into the shattering void and suppress that savage woman. If he had taken one step back, perhaps Heavenly Phoenix Divine Maiden would also have lowered her haughty airs, and the two of them would already have been together. Now, they were separated by a millennium. Even Jiang Yuefeng, that attention-seeker, became a god. With Heavenly Phoenix Divine Maiden's talent, she definitely also shattered the void and became a god. And once one becomes a god, while one's lifespan may not be infinite, living for several tens of thousands of years should not be a problem. Linghan immediately clenched his fist. "Wait till I shatter the void and become a god. I will definitely come find you. You savage woman, if you dare marry another man, then I'll truly be done with you." The carriage swayed and rattled, taking 7 days to return to Extreme Yang City. Linghan immediately had Li Xichan, Liu Yutong, and the others depart for Not Forget an Alchemist King Pavilion to retrieve the origin crystals earned over these few days. This was the truly useful thing. Silver did not matter. He personally went to the North Pill Pavilion to seek out Gongyang Tai's son. He had to bring his mother back and return to Rain Country to reunite with his father. Alchemists poured heart and soul into refining pills, even relinquishing the quotas for the 12 Heaven Mystery Realm. Although part of the reason was that they were no match for martial artists, this group was certainly indifferent to martial arts as well, so there were few elites among them. For instance, among the alchemists of North Pill Pavilion, only one had reached the spiritual infant tier, and it was precisely Gongyang Tai Sun. Ling Han believed Gongyang Tai Sun would certainly hold his heaven-grade alchemist title in awe and would not covet the 12 Palaces legacy from him. Of course, he did not completely trust someone he did not know well. In any case, with the Black Tower, he could escape safely even in the worst circumstances. After arriving at the North Pill Pavilion, he revealed his original appearance to everyone. "Respects to Master Ling!" Along his path, all the alchemists paid their respects. Ling Han gave a slight nod in return and soon arrived at Gongyang Tai Sun's private residence. When Gongyang Tai Sun received word, he hurried out to greet him as well. "Master Han, this old one is useless," and could not settle the matter. Gongyang Tai Sun told Ling Han who was to blame. A sinister foreboding surged in Ling Han's heart as he frowned and said, "What happened?" "The Winter Moon sect won't let her go," Gongyang Tai Sun said angrily, with a heaven-grade alchemist's written order, and with him, a mid-level Earth-grade alchemist, personally making the trip. He still could not get anyone. Even he was extremely vexed. Ling Han stroked his chin. Could the Winter Moon sect be thinking of using his mother to threaten him? It was impossible for the Winter Moon sect to know Ling Han's relationship with Yue Hongchang, but anyone would find it strange that a heaven-grade alchemist demanded a sinner of the Winter Moon sect. More importantly, the North region was not the Middle State. Here, a heaven-grade alchemist was actually no different from a mid-level Earth-grade alchemist. If spiritual infant-tier warriors truly refused to give face, what could you do? Summon a deity transformation tier to suppress them. Just like in the Middle State, Yao Huiyu and the disciples of such super sects actually did not respect alchemists at all. "I understand." Ling Han nodded. It seemed he would have to personally make a trip to the Winter Moon sect. "Master Han, this old one will accompany you on your trip," Gongyang Tai Sun said worriedly. Clearly, he had already heard that Ling Han obtained the 12 Palaces legacy, and he feared the Winter Moon sect might resort to force. "No need, I have my own strategy," Ling Han said with a smile. He left the North Pill Pavilion and returned to his dwelling. Liu Yutong and the others returned one after another, bringing ill news. Both places had been ruined. No one knew who did it, but after the shop closed at night, when the doors opened the next day, there would be corpses inside. With the stench of dead bodies filling the air, who would still want to eat or buy medicine? The Thousand Corpse sect. A dignified great sect actually employed such base tactics, truly lacking in class. "Is this meant to make me uncomfortable?" Ling Han muttered. Fortunately, these two properties only provided him with steady income. What truly allowed him to grow rich quickly was auctioning medicinal pills, so this could not seriously harm him. "Forget it. I've already obtained the 12 Palaces legacy, and my background will soon be dug out bit by bit, so I must save Mother as soon as possible, then bring Father out of Rain Country. I cannot allow others to hold anything over me." To the Winter Moon sect. Kurisu Ling Han calmly shut the doors of Forget-Not and Alchemist King Pavilion. During this time, Yin Hong paid him a single visit, and Ling Han promised that at the year's end, he would go and honour the promise he had made before, representing the North Region's Spirit Treasure Pavilion to attend that contest. After that, he set off and went straight for the Winter Moon sect. Zhu Xuan did not return to the Half Moon sect. Her injuries had yet to heal, and with her renown as an exceptional beauty, if word spread that she was still wounded, it was hard to guarantee that no one would seize the chance, snatch her away, and lock her up as a kept mistress. Thus, she recuperated within the Black Tower and followed Ling Han to the Winter Moon sect. Ling Han still hired a carriage, and each day he cultivated with all diligence. This journey to the Winter Moon sect lasted a full month. By the time he arrived, he had also stepped into the 9th layer of the spiritual pedestal tier. Within the Black Tower, everyone cultivated with grit, and especially who actually began cultivating for the first time, so startling that Ling Han cried out as if he had seen a ghost. After 1 month, The carriage finally jolted and rocked its way to the Winter Moon sect. Ling Han advanced to the 9th layer of the spiritual pedestal tier as a matter of course, and he also advanced to the level of the spiritual ocean tier in cultivating the 9 Dragons Tyrant body art. However, the growth of brute force was steady and unbroken, unlike Origin Power, whose might would surge explosively upon breaking through into the next layer. Brute force had no hurdles. It was simply the accumulation born of diligent cultivation, and most crucially, one's nutrition had to keep up. Only upon becoming a god in flesh would barriers appear. Ling Han examined this briefly. The 9 Dragons Tyrant body art was meant to open the 9 godly barriers within the body, and with each barrier unlocked, one would hold the power of a true dragon. When all 9 barriers were opened, one could become a god in flesh. Otherwise, even if one possessed the power of several true dragons, one would still be confined within the realm of mortals. At best, one would merely be an exceedingly powerful mortal. Just like spiritual pedestal tier warriors, no matter how formidable you were, that still was not the flower blossom tier. Unfortunately, Ling Han encountered a bottleneck while studying the 2 bone patterns, unable to comprehend them no matter what he tried. Most likely his tier was insufficient, and he would have to step into the flower blossom tier before he could understand them. Instead, he made striking progress in the sword because the bottleneck of the 10th flash of sword chi opened. It was as though he had returned to the days when he possessed only a single flash of sword chi. In the brief span of a month, he cultivated 3 more flashes of sword chi, 13 flashes of sword chi. This already surpassed Yao Hui Yue. However, Yao Hui Yue had likely only just broken through to the 10th flash of sword chi at the time, and then very quickly grasped the 11th flash of sword chi. Now he was probably no lower than 13 flashes of sword chi. Ling Han trusted in Yao Hui Yu's strength. Besides, Wen Yijian had never attacked with full strength from beginning to end, and that fellow's limit likely also exceeded the boundary of 10 flashes. He raised a hand, signalling the carriage to withdraw, and he himself walked alone toward the Winter Moon sect's main gate. This familiar gate and familiar path. He had only just arrived, yet he was already blocked. A great sect would naturally not allow people to enter as they pleased. Ling Han did in fact have Han Lin's identity token, but he did not take it out. He had originally intended to use that identity to secretly investigate his mother's whereabouts, but since he had already returned as a heaven-grade alchemist, there was no need for such trouble. He could directly demand his mother. "I am Ling Han. Let your sect master get the hell out to see me," Ling Han said blandly. "Sect master, get the hell out to see me?" Those words, put together, instantly left the few disciples by the main gate stupefied. Was this youth an idiot, running to the Winter Moon sect to speak like that? Was he tired of living? Ling Han had no intention of wasting breath here, and directly released the presence of the spiritual pedestal tier, instantly suppressing those few, turning them dreadfully pale. They hurriedly fled in a stagger, rushing to summon experts to come out. Someone was here to force his way through the main gate. Very soon, experts arrived. There were spiritual ocean tier warriors, spiritual pedestal tier ones, and of course even more were ordinary disciples at the gushing spring tier. Everyone was full of curiosity because the Winter Moon sect was one of the 4 strongest forces in the North region. Someone actually dared to come and seek trouble? "What, Ling Han?" Someone recognized him, an acquaintance from the 9 nations of the desolate North. Bai Yu Quan, Zhonghe Guang, Qu Shuiyun, and the others were all geniuses of the 9 nations of the desolate North. Their improvements were obvious, all having crossed into the spiritual ocean tier. Back in the desolate North, they would have been the pillars of great families. They were even more astonished after hearing that Ling Han had become a heaven-grade alchemist. To them it was like a dream, utterly unimaginable. It had to be 2 people who shared the same first and last name. And yet now, this legendary figure of the desolate North stood before them, an 18-year-old youth who still carried traces of immaturity. "So it's Master Ling!" A spiritual pedestal tier officer stepped out, cupped his hands in respectful salute toward Ling Han, and said, "We're honored to have you here. May I ask what business you have?" Ling Han glanced at him and said coldly, Who the hell are you to have the right to speak to me? A small figure should stand by the side and let the grown-ups come. That spiritual pedestal tier warrior could not help but choke, an annoyed look rising to his face. A mere 18-year-old youngster. He had only spoken politely out of respect for Ling Han being a heaven-grade alchemist, yet he never would have thought he would be answered with such icy words. In his eyes, the Winter Moon sect was one of the strongest sects in the North region, and though alchemists stood beyond the public, now that this one had come swaggering before the sect gate to stir trouble, who needed to be courteous to him, being beyond the public was because the position one held was also beyond the public, but if one stepped into the disputes of ordinary affairs, then how could one remain beyond the public? The Winter Moon sect doesn't welcome you. Please leave, that spiritual pedestal tier man said, displeased. Already said that you have no right, so why do you like to babble? Ling Han said, equally displeased. Outrageous! That spiritual pedestal tier cultivator flew into fury and launched an attack at Ling Han. He intended to teach this youngster a lesson and let him understand that this was the Winter Moon sect, not the Alchemist Society. A mere spiritual pedestal tier warrior dares to attack a heaven-grade alchemist, Ling Han said coldly, his figure already flashing before that spiritual pedestal tier elite. How could he be so quick? The other party was stunned, but before he could react, Ling Han's hand had already swept past his face, and then he knew nothing. Death! Hiss! Gasps of astonishment rang out all around. This was a spiritual pedestal tier officer, yet he was killed with a single strike, far too inconceivable. Could it be that Ling Han was already at the flower blossom tier? The people from the desolate north were even more shaken. How could Ling Han be this strong? Everyone had come out from the desolate north, yet after not seeing each other for a year, the gap between them was like heaven and earth. That spiritual pedestal tier's corpse dropped to the ground, lightly kicking up dust, looking utterly inconspicuous. Ling Han drew back his fist and said indifferently, "Ones who can speak and decide still won't come out. Master Ling, coming to Winter Moon sect to kill. This isn't very wise, is it?" With a sneer, several figures flew out from the mountains, standing loftily in mid-air. "I only have one thing to say. Hand over Yu Hong Chang," Ling Han said balefully. "Ha! Killing one of Winter Moon sect's disciples and still wanting to seize someone?" Ao Feng also appeared. "Hand over the 12 Palaces' legacy as compensation. You truly know how to tell jokes." Ling Han waved his right hand and summoned the rock spirit. "Eat this entire mountain up." The rock spirit wiped away cold sweat. It liked to eat rocks, but those were special stones that contained super energy that could increase its strength. It could not swallow just any kind of rock, but Master had spoken. How could it dare disobey? The huge fellow immediately started digging in. The first to suffer was the main gate. It was smashed by a single palm, and then the shattered pillars were grabbed up and gnawed on. Everyone was shocked and furious. The main gate represented a sect's face.